So, in this book I'm reading, God wrecks a whole city with fire and some kind of rocks.
What kind of rocks?
I don't know. Brim rocks or something. That's not the point. The city was destroyed along with all its inhabitants, except that God saved the only decent guy in town and his family.
God is merciful. That's a good point.
That's not the point either. Listen to this. God told them to leave the city and not to look back. But the wife looked back.
She disobeyed God.
Her city and everyone she knew was being destroyed by fire and rocks. It was a normal reaction.
No, a normal reaction is, when God makes himself known to you directly and instructs you not to do something, you listen. Was God terribly angry?
Saying that God has the capacity for anger would be to anthropomorphize him, which seems blasphemous. However, he did turn her into a pillar of salt.
Wow. That's just... Wow. Why salt?
Look, I'm trying to make a point. I don't know what kind of rocks God hit the city with, or why he turned her into salt instead of pepper, or worms, or peat moss.
Peat moss would have been cool.
Shut up. You do this all the time. I try to share a thought with you, and you go off on these tangents.
Sorry.
Don't be sorry, be quiet. So, God punishes the wife for looking back by turning her into a pillar of salt, and the father and 2 daughters go on alone, and they camp out in a cave for a while. Now, the daughters are upset, because God just wiped out every eligible bachelor they ever knew, and they want to get married and have babies.
Why aren't they mourning for their mother instead of thinking about having babies?
I'm not sure. But, since they want to have babies and the only man around is their father, do you know what they do?
That is too easy. Since God just proved his might and rewarded their father for his faith and goodness by saving them, they prayed to God to send them husbands to take them off to some nice place and make babies with them.
You know, I thought the plot was heading in that direction too. But no, they got their father hammered instead and raped him over 2 nights.
Well, God must surely have opened a can of whoop-ass on those 2 sisters. I mean, he turned the wife into a pillar of salt just for looking back at the city. What did he turn the wicked daughters into?
Mothers.
Oh. You know, I have to admit that, since that was what they wanted all along, it doesn't actually seem like such a killer punishment to me. I don't get it. Unless God didn't ever actually tell them not to get their father drunk and rape him repeatedly.
I'm pretty sure that's the kind of thing you should just plain know is wrong.
Good point.
Thank you. That is precisely my point. Mom looks at her home and neighbors burning, and she gets turned into a pillar of salt, even though why God didn't want her to look at the spectacle is never explained. If you ask me, it just seems like God was screwing with them. But when her kids rape their own just widowed father whom God had saved from destruction, everything's cool, and God just lets it go. The whole thing is twisted.
It sure is. What kind of weird stuff are you reading these days?
Okay, now that's what I was waiting for you to ask me.